Howie did it again. He got himself an edge rusher. Jaelan Phillips is your newest Philadelphia Eagle. My name is Rich Hofmann. I'm here with Jamie Lynch, and we will have Fran Duffy to teach us what Jaelan Phillips, what his role will be like in this Eagles defense. It's the PHLY Eagles show. Join us on a Monday afternoon. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the PHLY Eagles show live from the Xfinity studio and presented by Bet365 and Ashley Furniture. My name is Rich Hofmann. I am here with Jamie Lynch. And James, coming out of the bye week, we got some stuff to talk about.
Howie. He does it again. This guy's out of his damn mind. I love it.
I've made the comparison. Chappelle Show to Tyrone Biggums, man. He needs, the man is jonesing to make another trade. And unlike the one we saw over the weekend with Jair Alexander, this one didn't involve a 6th and a 7th swap. Do you think, by the way, real quick, that Howie got in on the 6-7 TikTok trend? Because he made 2 trades in the last week where he was swapping a 6 and 7. Never mind. Let's not go down that whole road.
Rich, my daughter said it to me the other day. She was like, 6-7? And I was like, stop that. It's not funny. It's not cool. I was like, that's brain rot. Drop it right now. She's like, what does it mean? I was like, it means nothing. Stop it. So I had to put my foot down and try to squash it. We'll see if that's effective. I doubt it.
Hey, good parenting by you. I don't mind that at all. But so we thought, okay, Howie's making these sort of peripheral moves. He gets Michael Carter. He gets Jair Alexander in the secondary. It felt like there was another shoe to drop, though, that they were going to make. You know, we talked about it last week on the show. Are they going to make one sizable move, particularly for an edge rusher? Was he going to dip into those kind of mid-tier picks, 3rd round, 4th round picks? And we did. And this is the big deal presented by Cherry Hill Jeep. And that's that Howie did make that move, Jamie. He goes out and he trades for Miami Dolphins edge rusher Jaelan Phillips. And he trades a 3rd round pick to acquire him. Per our friend Jimmy Kempski, it is the Eagles pick in the 3rd round.
Better.
Not that ultra valuable Jets pick from the Hassan Reddick trade. And I also saw, I believe it was Albert Breer, to facilitate the trade, the Dolphins agreed to pick up a pretty sizable chunk of Jaelan Phillips' remaining salary for 2025. So they paid the actual salary to get a better pick for the Eagles in the deal. So, Jamie, I guess one thing, and thank you to Lindsay for putting up the graphic there. We see his 2025 stats, 3 sacks. We'll get to Fran a little bit later. Very high pressure rate so far this season, not finishing with sacks as much as possible. What are your initial reads on the situation here?
It's great. You know, it's clearly, I think the best thing about Howie Roseman, my favorite thing, your favorite thing, let's get some thumbs up in the chat here for Howie Roseman, is he's never satisfied, like you said. Like, it's clear he doesn't deny that the edge group needed help. Like, he's not going into it going, well, Nolan Smith's coming back and we got BG. He's like, no, I need more. It's like the Star Wars meme, more. He doesn't live in a state of denial of saying, like, so-and-so is going to come around. This is going to get better out of the bye. Nolan Smith's going to be back. He goes out and he addresses it. And it's part of why he accumulates so many picks. When you see him, you know, those pick swaps. Oh, change a 7th for a 6th with another team. He does it to build an arsenal to go out in season and do things like this. Is Jair Alexander going to work out for the Burbs? Probably not, but he addressed it. He's taking a shot on somebody. Carter probably will play more of a role than Jair on this team. And you were just thinking as a Birds fan in the back of your mind, like, okay, that's well and good, but you also need defensive edge help. And that's what he saved his big piece for. The 3rd round pick. He went out there, and if you're a Dallas Cowboy fan or you're a Green Bay Packer fan who was like, hey, our team needs some edge help, you're waking up this morning and you're like, damn that Howie Roseman, he gets us again. And he jumps everybody on the edge trade market and takes care of business. So what's not to love about Howie Roseman, honestly?
Well, and he gets a former heel in Philadelphia. Now, let's be fair. It was only one night, but Jamie, do you remember when the Dolphins played in Philadelphia in 2023?
I think I was here doing the post-game show, so there's some recollection buried in my brain of it.
As Bo always says, it can be tough to remember back that far. So I'm not judging you if you don't.
Yeah, no, everything kind of blurs together in my brain, but yes, a little bit of the game.
It was one of the Eagles' better wins during that 2023 season, during that 10-1 start. They beat the Dolphins on Sunday Night Football. They were wearing the Kelly green jerseys. Anyway, Jaelan Phillips was the antagonist that night. There was a snap where he beat a very hobbled Lane Johnson for a sack, and then like the 2005 New England Patriots in the Super Bowl did the mocking Eagles flap. And the crowd completely boos. And actually, the good thing is that was during the PHLY's run. I looked up what I wrote in the newsletter that night, and here's what I had. Phillips' team was losing by a touchdown when he pulled out that celebration. They ended up losing by 2 touchdowns. And when the Eagles were kneeling the ball to salt away that massive lead, Phillips decided to play extra physical against the victory formation. So an eventful night for that loser. Jaelan Phillips, welcome to Philadelphia. Yeah. So he was very involved.
Well, that'll play
in that
well
game.
here if he's wearing an Eagles uniform.
Totally.
I mean, he's already got the natural built-in celebration, so that's good. He's already practiced it, rehearsed it. It's ready to go.
We like an antagonist in Philadelphia, and that was the big deal presented by Cherry Hill Jeep. It was. Look, I am pretty excited about this. Now,
I am too.
Now, let's go over some of his bio, because I think that's important, because not everybody's keeping up with the Dolphins on a regular basis. It's his 5th year in the NFL.
They picked up his option, yeah.
All of which are with the Dolphins. That makes sense. He is a former first-round pick. They can play 5 years on that first contract, and that obviously also means that he is a free agent next season.
Yes. And does count towards the comp formula for the Eagles. Which has to go into the calculations for Howie. I know Bo said this morning on the emergency pod, I don't put too much stock into that. It's fair, but Howie probably, when giving up a third, knowing if he goes out there and gets you 7-8 sacks for the remainder of the season and becomes a double-digit guy, you're getting something back your way.
Totally. So Jaelan Phillips, productive player early in his career. So his first 3 seasons with the Dolphins, 8.5 sacks, 7 sacks, and then 6.5 sacks in 2023, and we're going to get to this point later, that was the year that Vic Fangio was the Miami Dolphins defensive coordinator, and then he tears his Achilles. Jamie, this has been a recurring issue for him. This is a guy who has been banged up a lot in his career. Tears his Achilles, obviously a very serious injury, comes back to play last year, tears his ACL, and that's the big worry with this guy, is that he has been banged up for a lot of his career. I believe he had multiple concussions during his time at UCLA.
I think Fran said this morning he had 3 his first year or something.
And he briefly retired for a little bit too at UCLA. So is that a little bit worrisome? Absolutely. And, but when you look at when he has been healthy, he has been a moderately productive player. A couple other things that stand out to me. Prototypical size for a defensive end. I remember this from when he beat Lane Johnson. He looks like that's the type of edge rusher that Vic Fangio wants. Just a big guy at 6'5", 260 pounds as well. Fran has mentioned that a lot of his success early this season, which I did not know. I'm not watching the Miami Dolphins on a snap-by-snap basis.
That is a terrible team.
Nor should I. They have kicked him in a little bit as a defensive tackle and used him on stunts, which I think should play well for this Eagles defense, because that is something that they've done well. That's something that the Eagles have done a lot, so far this year. And he's also a pretty solid run defender as well. Okay, so with all of that in mind, is this enough? I assume this is probably the last move that the Eagles are making, last huge move.
I think Fran and Bo also touched on, could you possibly trade like a Keely Ringo for a potential late round pick from somebody? Because there is a little bit of a numbers crunch here with the roster. Yeah, something like that could happen, but I think this is it. And I think it's really all you can ask for. You know, you had two positions of need. You went out and addressed both of them. I think defensive edge got addressed in a bigger way than cornerback did.
Absolutely.
Because Phillips is, you know, a potential, if healthy, you know, 8 to 10 sack guy easily. He brings immediate help to the defensive line, which now you're getting 3 new edge rushers this week. You saw last time they were out there, you know, Jahad Campbell by necessity was forced into an unnatural position that Vic Fangio doesn't really like him in. So now you're adding Nolan Smith, BG, and Jaelan Phillips. I mean, what a tremendous upgrade to the defensive line. I think the thing you said there about Vic Fangio holds a lot of weight with me because Vic Fangio was not too complimentary of that Dolphins defense when he was there. You know, I know some of the guys in Miami were celebrating the fact that I think it was Javon Holland.
Losers.
Yeah, like these just absolute losers were like celebrating Vic Fangio's departure when he left there. And Vic Fangio basically all he said was like, "You guys don't practice hard enough. You don't want this." So for Jaelan Phillips to be one of the guys he was okay with because according to reports, Jaelan Phillips was the guy Vic wanted. And I think it's beautiful because it shows that Howie Roseman respects the hell out of Vic Fangio. And Vic Fangio respects Jaelan Phillips enough to go want him. So that means he works hard. He's going to be a fit, ideally, in this locker room. And Vic doesn't see any problems there. So I think there's a lot to like from that, Rich.
I'm pretty excited about this move.
Yeah, I'm pretty stoked, too. I mean, you got Nolan Smith and him as your starting edges. That's pretty exciting.
And we're going to ask
Jalen Carter's probably damn excited about this.
Yes. Some attention will be taken off him for sure. We're going to ask Fran too what the edge rusher room is going to look like. And I'm very curious what he says about what the snaps will look like for every player, because like you said, you're getting 3 guys who are going to be part of that edge rotation back in the fold.
Well, it's going to mean fresher legs down late in the season, right? You're not going to have to wear down some of these guys. And maybe with Ojomo's kind of surgence here, Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis can save some energy in those legs. This is a team that just pushed all in, and they're going to have a really good shot to make a Super Bowl run again. So I think ultimately it means for the defensive line just some fresher legs and bodies for the remainder of the year.
Totally. And
at worst, you know,
Jordan Davis was playing a bunch of snaps earlier in the year. There's probably a trickle down effect there.
By the way,
Jalen Carter was playing a few snaps on the edge too. We saw that, you know, sort of, that was more experimentation, but you would figure that probably ends.
Jordan Davis knows ball too. Alex Coffey wrote a piece about Allie Love in Peloton. Allie Love, she has a hard ass class, man. So yeah, Allie Love and Emma are my two girls on Peloton.
That was a great article. By Alex Coffey.
I love that Allie Love, because I was always an Allie stan for like the first year and a half, and then I became an Emma guy a little bit. But to hear that Allie Love's now a Birds fan from afar, I love that.
It is interesting too. It's a story about like the parasocial relationships that there are that you have with your Peloton instructor who's just teaching a class in New York and you're following along, but you get pulled in and then you feel like you know that person. So that was pretty interesting. Okay. Before we get to a break though, I do want to get to all of the reasons that I am personally high on this move as an Eagles fan. And let's start with the caveats first. And we already touched on them a little bit. I know that Howie has a checkered history, particularly with defensive ends and particularly with mid-round picks for defensive ends. And that injury history on Jaelan Phillips really scares me. Okay, let's just push those things to the side because look, you're not going to, unless you make that
suspend reality here,
unless you make that 3 first-round pick trade for Myles Garrett, which probably wasn't even available anyway, you're not going to get a perfect player. Okay, but number one, the Eagles had 2 clear needs on their roster, and that was CB2 and pass rush. And realistically, you're only going to be able to address one of those in a major way. Maybe they would have been able to get 2, but it's clear that the supply at the edge rusher position was greater. So they said, okay, let's go attack that position. So that makes sense to me. That's Howie Roseman not really deviating from what fans think. I think all of us sort of see, all right, they have these 2 major needs, and he saw the same thing, and he's like, well, the easier one to address is edge rusher. So I think that is just pretty smart and pretty simple and basic, and that's good.
Yeah, and I think it plays off the versatility of the players, like in a break glass in case of emergency case, you always have Cooper who can go to the outside if need be, and Carter can play more of the inside stuff. And the nice thing with Phillips is, as Fran's going to explain to us in a little bit, he has no problem going against centers and guards on the inside of the line. So a lot of player versatility on this Eagles defense now.
Yeah. And so number 2, I would say prototypical size for an edge rusher.
Yeah.
Just big guy. And like you said, he can bump inside. He can do a few different things. And that's the next point I had. Is that he seems like a pretty well-rounded player. Like,
yeah,
decent against the run, can do some twists, like not just a complete speed guy. And so this is the big thing, is that this seems to have Vic Fangio's support. And really, when you look at all of those things, Jamie, big guy, decent against the run, productive, like has a bunch of pressures and seems to get the quarterback off his spot a bunch, hasn't been able to close on a ton of those sacks this season. We know that Vic Fangio doesn't care quite as much about sacks as maybe the average defensive coordinator. And the fact that he also co-signed this, right? Because I would say the common knowledge on this, the popular thought on this was that everybody on that Dolphins defense hated Vic Fangio, and Vic Fangio hated everybody on that Dolphins defense. So the fact that he was able to just look back at that, I mean, the fact that he remembered the guy anyway in the first place was like, oh yeah, that guy's pretty good.
Yeah, he was one of the ones I didn't hate. Yeah, bring him on in, Howie.
He had some success. Like that Dolphins defense definitely tailed off in the second half of the year. Well, Jaelan Phillips wasn't there.
Because they didn't work hard in training camp.
Yeah.
And Vic could have told you that right away.
And they were much better earlier in the year, and that is when they had Jaelan Phillips there. And then the last thing I would say, Jamie, is that look, they are defending a Super Bowl here. Has the season been perfect? No. Is the entire rest of the league very flawed? Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I watched those Packers and Lions games yesterday. Look, like,
I'm a Jordan Love hater, so like that was perfect.
Worst throw I've ever seen in my life.
He is just like at best mid. And you can debate it till you're long in the tooth. If you have Jordan Love as a top 10 quarterback in the NFL, you're doing it wrong. Like that guy is just mid. I hate the Packers. Eagles dominate the Packers. So to see them go down, to see Detroit go down, the Eagles are in a great position, Rich, and we have a wide receiver quarterback drama. You know, the defense has been beat the hell up. The defensive line was depleted all year. All these things have gone wrong, and you're still probably the best team in the NFC.
Yeah. Well, and as Jim points out in the chat, Tucker Kraft also tore his
huge
ACL,
loss for them.
Tucker Kraft is a pretty awesome player.
He's probably the best tight end in the league this year.
And
now Zach Bond doesn't have to worry about him on Monday night.
That's
or Jihad or Nakobe or whoever.
There were injuries all over the place.
Cooper.
Jaden Daniels got hurt as well. That team looks like a cross-off, the most obvious regression candidate in the history of regression candidates, Jamie. They did some regressing this year.
Yeah.
So, look, the NFC, even though I still think it's better than the AFC, wide open. This Eagles team, as flawed as they have been in the first half of the season, I think Howie owed it to this roster to bolster it and give them the best chance to compete both for a high playoff seed and then in the playoffs as well. I feel pretty good about it. I think this is the best they realistically could have done.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm pretty high on this Jaelan Phillips thing. Now, am I aware that this whole thing, he could get hurt right away and we're sitting here in March be like, man, it'd be nice to have that other third round pick. Yes, I think that is certainly a scenario.
They got the Jets pick, so it's all good.
They do have the Jets pick, and they still have a.
And how are the Jets doing this year?
Not so good.
So that's going to be a high third round pick. We'll get over it. I think you see Howie getting the respect around the league, whether it be from a Dan Orlovsky or an Ian Rat. Like, people are just amazed at how constant he is in his pursuit to improve the roster. So as an Eagles fan, that's all you could ask for. I think this is pretty much best case scenario.
Yeah. So we're both pretty good with it as Eagles fans. Now we will turn to Fran Duffy in the next segment. He will explain to us how's Jaelan Phillips going to be used? How is the edge rusher rotation going to shake out? Fran will make us smarter, as he always does on Mondays. He doesn't have a game to talk about this week, but he does have a trade to talk about. So we will get to Fran and a few other fun things at the end of the show. But first, we're going to hear from a few of our friends. And guys, holiday steals, they are here at PHLY Furniture. It is the perfect time to get your home ready for the season and save big. Jamie, what season is it? It's cozy season, buddy. From stunning dining sets for all of your holiday feasts to super cozy sectionals, Ashley has everything you need to make this season magical. And look, guys, Ashley, the more you shop, the more you save with up to 25% off store-wide.
And I've been a fan of Ace Hardware stores forever, for as long as I have, basically been in the need for home hardware stuff. And why wouldn't I just trust those same pros to come to my house? Why? Because when you walk into an Ace Hardware store, it's like an old contractor. How can I help you? What's the job? They explain it to you. They know how to do everything. They know where every part is. They know what you need. So bring those same trusted pros home to you. When the weather turns chilly, the last thing you need is the laundry list of house to-do items piling up on you. And Ace Hardware Home Services brings the trusted pros from your store right to your home to get you ready for the colder months. From tune-ups to plumbing to fixing generators and emergency repairs, find the help you need for your next project at acehardwarehomeservices.com.
And guys, like I said, it is cozy season, and you can take advantage of Ashley's special financing with 5 years of no interest. Guys, you're going to have people over for Thanksgiving, for Christmas. It is the perfect time to get your home ready for the holiday season and save big. You can discover great deals both in store and online, only at Ashley. Okay, welcome back to the PHLY Eagles show, presented by our friends at Ashley Furniture and Bet365. We will have Fran in a little bit here, Jamie. But yeah, I think when you look at...
Do you think Howie's a little upset that Ashley hijacked cozy season away from Howie season?
I think you can have both seasons, right?
Yeah, I guess. Do you think Howie's a cozy guy at home? Or you think he like bundles up or is he a football guy just like chewing nails? And
unlike some past hosts of this show, I do not think about Howie Roseman 24/7, 365, including whether he's a cozy guy or not.
I don't see him being a cozy guy.
Okay.
Slippers and PJ pants with a blanket on the couch watching Monday Night Football. I don't see that.
I mean, now you're making me picture what that looks like. So that would be pretty funny. Yeah. Just texting. I will say, to your point, it does seem like Howie just texts people more than other GMs. Like he just is active, man. Like there's not
a call he doesn't make.
Yeah.
To your point, whether it be, I am kind of fascinated. Is that just like a text over to Cleveland? Like, hey, you thinking about shopping Miles? Or is it a call? Hey, how you doing? How the kids? Like I would love to see him like a 48-hour kind of, GoPro during the trade deadline, just to see how that all goes down.
Yeah, no, it would be good. No, I think Howie Roseman, the fact that he's so active and he gives us all of the emergency pods, it's a great situation. I guess what did you think of the whole Jair Alexander acquisition?
He couldn't crack the field on a really bad defense that was pretty beat up for a while. So I'm not overly optimistic he's going to work out here, but I'm a sucker for a name.
He is a name.
He was one of the best cornerbacks in the league. He was the guy this offseason I brought up while doing the show. Like, yeah, I would go kick the tires on Jair Alexander. Like, that's a really good player. If he gets healthy, he could find himself again, and you struck gold. The fact he couldn't really crack the field on Baltimore, and they kind of like pity traded him to go pursue a chance to play somewhere. I mean, it's a trade for, what was it, a 7th rounder and a 6th round swap. Yeah, you do it and you hope for the best, but I'm not too optimistic he's really going to contribute much.
No, I think from what we saw from him this year, and just, the fact that we really didn't see him the past 3 weeks, he basically has not been on the field. He's either been inactive or basically like a healthy scratch.
It's probably not the best sign.
It's probably not the best sign.
But it's a great name.
It is a great name.
Yeah.
He was a great player. I think looking at Jair Alexander and the fact that he's lost some athleticism at 28 years old.
That's troubling. Yeah, it sucks.
It makes me a couple things. Makes me a little worried about Quinyon and Coop, and it also makes me appreciate Darius Slay a little bit more.
We were just talking about, was it me, you, and Fran talking, or me, you, and the prof were talking about Darius Slay last week? Like, people kind of would like jump on Slay a little bit last year, and like in our Discord channel here would be like, "Oh, Slay sucks, Slay this, Slay this." Yeah, not really. Like, for what that guy was doing at age 33, 34. Now he got cooked a couple times this year in national games, and people kind of re-brought that up again.
No, I think they actually.
He was very good.
He was very good last year. I think the Eagles got
out at the right time.
At the right time. It's just that it's crazy that the right time is 33, 34 years old.
Really impressive. Yeah. Darius Slay with hell of a career. Yeah.
One of the benefits, I would say, just in reading up on Jair Alexander, is that Christian Parker, who is this Eagles defensive backs coach who seems to be one of the most well-regarded assistant coaches in the league, young guy, when he got his start 4 or 5 years ago, it was with the Green Bay Packers as a defensive quality control coach. And it seems like a lot of his work, this was an article in The Athletic from a few years ago with Denver, a lot of his work was with Jair Alexander on sort of being prepared for the routes that the opposing number one receivers were going to run. So, like, is there a chance that he could just be a good voice in that room?
Absolutely.
I would hope so.
And I really like the cohesive nature of the Eagles. And I don't know if every team's like this because I don't cover every team like we do the Eagles. But like the fact that both 2/3, and look, Joe Douglas, has a lot to say about Carter. But the fact that Christian Parker and Vic Fangio are leaned upon by Howie Roseman in these situations, like, hey, do you like this guy? Do you think he can help? Is he a fit for the locker room? The fact that they all like collaborate on this stuff together, I think is a really good sign of the organization as a whole.
Yeah, I think so too. Okay, let's bring in the man himself, the man that
man
everybody is waiting for, Mr. Fran Duffy. Fran, how's it going, man?
It's going great, guys. There's, I had a nice like morning planned of like, I'm gonna go through a bunch of college tape. I'm gonna grind through a bunch of games from the weekend, and instead, I spent a large chunk of the morning talking and thinking about Jaelan Phillips.
And Fran joins us on the Xfinity mobile call-in line here. So, Fran, you looked at the film and the footage of Jaelan Phillips this year. I know you were kind of, cramming it in this morning before the emergency pod. I'm sure you've looked at more since. What jumps out to you?
Yeah, and also a piece just went up on allphly.com. So become a diehard. You can go check out my full write-up on Jaelan Phillips and what I think the role is and what I think about the trade overall. I would say, the big thing, I mean, the traits are definitely there. This is a guy that obviously went in the first round for a reason. He went in the top 25. He was a 5-star recruit coming out of high school, was a top 3 player in the entire country when he was coming out, right? This is a guy that's got great athletic pedigree. He can win with quickness. He can win with power. He can win with technique. There's plays late in the down. And he really developed into one of the best young rushers in football. Like a really just a rock solid player that can win in a lot of ways. He wasn't bad against the run. Like just you checked a lot of boxes with him. Maybe not an elite player, but just a really good player across the board. Obviously, the injuries have taken their toll over the last couple of years. And so, when I went into it this morning, having not really watched much of Miami this year, I was like, all right, like this is a clean slate. You can't go in thinking like, all right, I'm going to lean on my pre-draft evaluation and what I've seen from him, even early on in the NFL, because I wanted to see what the athleticism and the movement and the power looked like coming off the torn Achilles and a torn ACL. And it was pretty good. I thought overall the film was pretty strong for what I've seen so far this year. Now, the usage has changed, which you guys talked about earlier in the show, that it's not just purely, hey, line up off the edge as the left outside linebacker in a 3-4 scheme and work against the tackle. They are moving him around, and it's happened a lot in the last 5-6 weeks. And in that, the pressure rate has gone up. His ability to win some of those matchups on the interior is important. The big thing that to me, like that I'm keeping in mind here moving forward with the Eagles is, does he need to play that way now? Like, do you need to be creative with him and kick him inside? Is that something you're going to feel open to doing early on? When he first gets here against Green Bay and Detroit, and you go into the meat of the schedule, or is it like, hey, we want to keep him outside because that's where we need him? I'm going to be fascinated to see what the usage looks like with Jaelan Phillips as we get into the meat of the schedule.
Fran, I know there's always the eternal struggle between QB pressures, QB hits, but if you look at the pressures so far this year, it looks like Jaelan Phillips has been pretty good, at least getting near the quarterback. I guess what have you seen from him in that regard?
Yeah, he's definitely been active in terms of being around the quarterback. And this is a great graphic here from Lindsay looking at the quarterback pressure rate. This is something I pulled from Next Gen Stats, all edge rushers with at least 175 pass rush snaps here this season. Jaelan Phillips ranks 5th on that list. Now, pressure can be kind of a wonky thing when it's like, oh, what does that actually really mean? Really, it's do you get in the vicinity of the quarterback? Do you have the ability to impact the quarterback? Because you can't get a sack, you can't get a hit without getting a pressure, right? And it's like when you get into baseball and you're trying to determine like future success and sample sizes and things like that. It's like, all right, well, you can't hit the ball hard if you don't hit the ball, right? So you look at contact rate. It's things like that where it's like, all right, how often is this guy getting into the backfield and getting around the quarterback? And I think when you're looking at Phillips, a lot of the things, and there was a lot of the feedback I got on social media as I was posting some of these clips this morning, was that, oh, well, he can't finish. A lot of Miami people in the mentions like, oh, this is him in a microcosm. It's like, yeah, right now this year, his pressure rate has been high. The quarterback hit rate was low. The sack rate was low. There are times where you see like he struggles to kind of break down and finish, but then there are other times like, all right, like he had a clean shot at Justin Herbert, and Herbert wriggled out of it and made a throw and made a catch. Like, that's a great player making a great play. That's a bad beat, right? Like that just happens with pass rushers. And the note that I made in the piece was that's why the saying exists of like sacks happen in bunches, because those kinds of things just happen, right? Like it's a tough life as a pass rusher sometimes. And I think when you're looking at Jaelan Phillips, you can certainly look at it and say like, oh, like, they had to scheme up a lot of stuff for him and he's in the backfield, but he struggles to finish. But then you can also look at it the other way and say like, all right, like coming off an injury, it was a little bit of a slow burn early on in the season, but once he got into his groove, he was able to consistently win no matter where he lined up, and he was able to impact the quarterback.
So, Fran, two-part question, both having to do with our Uncle Vic here. One, I assume the language kind of remains the same here, and he's more or less already plug and play, ready to go week one. And then two, I guess Vic kind of knighted him as not a soft loser from the Dolphins defense that the rest of the team was, and he kind of passed that approval rating with Vic.
Yeah, there was definitely been some reporting over the weekend that Jaelan Phillips was a player that Vic Fangio had given that stamp of approval to, and I will say, like, based off conversations I've had, has kind of confirmed that it's like, yeah, like this is a player that Vic Fangio did want Howie Roseman and the Eagles to go after. So I think once you kind of made that point, it's like, all right, you've got that green light. They've made a big deal in the past of like that cohabitation matrix. Anytime they make a hire, whether that's front office, hire a scouting assistant GM, or if it's a quality control coach on the coaching side, it could be a player, right? Like anyone you bring into your building, you're an Eagle. All right, well, who else have you worked with in the past? Do you give this guy going to be a fit here or not? And I think that this is a good example. You mentioned it was the case with all three of the guys that they have acquired here this week. And I think that when you look at Jaelan Phillips, that's certainly an important part of the puzzle.
And real quick, the language of the defense, like he's ready to go right away, right? Like there's not much of a learning curve, I should say, or is there some tweaking?
My guess is that there might be a little bit of tweaking. I'm sure Vic Fangio will get asked about that in his press conference this week. I doubt it's like a pure like apples to apples standpoint. Sure. But that said, of all positions in football, like I would say, pass rusher is the one where it's like it should be the most plug and play, and like at the very least, week one next Monday night in Green Bay for him, he should be able to come in and like be able to give you some snaps, right? Like maybe he's not playing the full workload, but I would imagine you have a package or two where he's familiar with this set of play calls.
And that leads us in to The Future is Bright, presented by Shady Rays. Fran talked about how that Jaelan Phillips could be a plug and play type of player. Fran,
is Shady right here in studio with us?
I'm not sure if he is, but Fran, what I am curious about is what this does to the overall edge rusher rotation. And Jamie mentioned earlier in the show, they could very well, we'll hear about what Nolan Smith is, what his return is, but you could get 3 edge rushers back this week. You could get BG making his debut. You get Jaelan Phillips and maybe Nolan Smith as well. I guess maybe, Fran, like in an ideal world, how do you view this whole edge rusher rotation shaking out? It's going to be very different than when we last saw them play against the Giants.
Yeah, no question. Look, if everyone's healthy, and even if you're not saying that you get everybody at like their physical, peak, whatever their peak would be here in 2025, everybody.
Oh no!
Oh no!
The Matrix. We got zapped.
Hashtag Fran's Wi-Fi.
Should we knock out some of our friends and reconnect with Fran and pick up on the other side here?
I think that's a good idea. Way to think on your feet there, James.
Yeah.
We'll reconnect with Fran in a second there after we hear from a few of our friends. And guys, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Bet365 has 90 million users worldwide and live streams 780,000 events each year with early payout offers across the NBA and the NHL. But they also have that football early payout offer, Jam, and that's my favorite thing. And with Bet365's early payout offer, you're a winner if your team goes up by 17 points with an instant payout on straight bets and parlay selections marked as winners. You can just download the app and use code PHLY365 when you sign up. And there's breaking news from Bet365. New customers now get $300 in bonus bets when you bet $5 win or lose. Sign up, use the code PHLY365, deposit $10 and place a bet for $5 to get $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins or loses. Bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. You must be 21 and over and physically located in PA. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Guys, we all know the feeling. You know, the holidays are coming up. You need that perfect gift for the partner in your life. And you walk into a jewelry store and you just go, What am I doing here? I don't know anything. What's that? What's an earring? What's a bracelet? What is she even like? Well, that's why Bucci's Jewelers is here for you. Because when you walk into Bucci's Jewelers, it's a family atmosphere right off the bat. And it can be stressful, and they alleviate that stress. Go talk to Joe and Michelle at Bucci's Jewelers and Design, and it's a game changer. They're going to make the whole process seamless for you, and they listen, and they're going to help you find what you'll love. No pressure, no pushy sales vibe, just good people who love what they do. 30 plus years in the game. They've been Philly's #1 jeweler again and again. Over 1,000 5-star reviews speak for itself. So check them out today at BucciJewelers.com and tell them people over at PHLY sent you.
And welcome back to the PHLY Eagles Show presented by Bet365. And Ashley, I believe we have Fran back here. Do we have him, Lindsay? There we go. There he is. Hey, what's up, buddy? Yeah. So just the same question that we had for you is that in an ideal world, how does this rotation break out? Like, you don't have to give me a specific number of snaps, but is Jaelan Phillips going to play as much as Nolan Smith? Where does BG fit in? How do you see all of the pieces fitting in now that they really have bolstered this position over the past few weeks?
Yeah, I think if everyone is the best versions of themselves and even close to it, maybe not at their physical peak, I think you've got Nolan and Jalen as your 1-2. You've got BG and you've got Jalix Hunt as your 3-4. And then Josh Uche is your, is he active? He's your 5th guy. That's how, and then you have Jahad Campbell that you're able to sprinkle in as well. So I think between that, I mean, honestly, that's a pretty good rotation. I think that's something that you feel good about as you go into the second half of the schedule.
Fran, how happy is Jalen Carter today?
I think all those guys would be happy, and I touched on this in the piece that's up on allphly.com now, is that, looking at some of the things that the Eagles have started to do with the defensive front in terms of some of the unique alignments, and you put 3 guys over to one side, you bring Zach Bond down and have him work over the guard. Now you're forcing offenses to have to kind of decide what they're going to do from a production standpoint, which way are you going to slide. Having a guy like Jaelan Phillips where, again, I talked about how he's had a lot of success this year working against guards and working against centers. He's had 7 pressures against guards and 5 against centers so far this year. A third of his pressures have come against interior offensive linemen. So if you have a guy that has that skill set, which we know Brandon Graham can do, right? And you know that Moro Ojomo can line up a little bit outside. Jalen Carter can line up a little bit outside. You can really tinker with protections and really, kind of mess with quarterbacks pre-snap with, all right, which way do we want to slide? Because if you're going to slide over to the heavy side, the 3-man side, well, now you guarantee on the other side that you've got one-on-ones, right? So I think that now you can really play a lot of games up front with what they've been able to do in the last few weeks. I'm excited for what that could be 4, 5, 6 weeks from now once the Jaelan Phillips really has his feet under.
Fran, before we move on to our mid-season awards, I do have a couple more Fangio-centric questions. And Vic has blitzed more this year, right? I think he's disguising his blitzes. I think some of that is that he has to because the edge rusher group has not gotten home as much as maybe last year's group, especially down the stretch, did. but he also has a couple of chess pieces in Zach Bond and Jahad Campbell and also Nakobe Dean now that he's back in the fold. Do you think this acquisition affects maybe his calculus, or is that sort of going to be a wait and see approach depending on what he gets from Phillips, what he gets from BG, all of these guys?
No, I still think that that'll be a part of the game plan on a weekly basis. And I think that with Jaelan Phillips, he has actually dropped more in coverage this year than he has at any other point in his career. They're pretty multiple with what they do down there in Miami with that defensive coordinator, Anthony Weaver, coming from the Baltimore tree. So they'll drop those guys in coverage and do different things. So Phillips won't be, he's not, that's not going to be foreign to him. And the second most often he did it in his career was under Fangio in 2023. So I think that Phillips, I think that they'll be fine dropping him in coverage when they do decide to bring Bond or bring Jahad Campbell or Nakobe Dean from the second level. So I would expect that to continue with Phillips in the lineup.
And the last one on this too, and you sort of touched on why I was going to ask this. He does feel like a Fangio player where he's not just a speed edge rusher, where he's decent against the run. He can do multiple things in terms of pass rush, play multiple positions. And as you just told us, he can play in coverage as well. It does feel like a good fit for what Vic ideally wants from his edge rushers.
Yeah, no question. And I think that when you look at, honestly, I made this point when I was on with Cuz this morning as well. One player that should really benefit from this as well is Jalen Hunt. Because Hunt has a very similar kind of skill set, and obviously still a young, ascending, developing player. So having a veteran in the move that, or in the room that has made that ascension, right? Like he was largely an unrefined player, a flash player when he was at UCLA and then at Miami, the University of Miami, I should say. By the time he got to the Dolphins and really developed. He's developed into a savvy rusher. Like he tempos his rushes well. He knows how to set moves up and have complementary rushes. So having a veteran presence like that for Jalen Hunt and a guy that has a similar type of skill set, that could be really good for Hunt down the road as well.
Shout out Joe Rockhead using some custom emojis in the chat here from our supporters club. We see you. We appreciate you, Joe Rockhead. And if you want to become a supporter with us, you can. You get some custom emojis, behind the scene footage, and all that stuff here at PHLY. Fran, you mentioned Jahad Campbell. I think he was kind of forced into playing the edge position out of necessity the past couple weeks. Vic has kind of alluded to like not necessarily wanting to put him there. Now that he's freed up to go back to the linebacking position, what do you think the effect is with Nakobe, Jahad, and Zach Bond? How do they divvy this up? What do you see happening?
This is the best question. Yeah, I'm fascinated by this.
Yeah, I mean, your guys' guess is as good as mine. My
well, that's not good, Fran.
Yeah, I mean, my feeling on it is like, look, because some of those reps were in the base defense, right? Where it's like, all right, like, yeah, he's going to slide down and he's going to do that. We've seen him already do some of that as like the second off-ball linebacker, and then they come down to those 6-1 fronts. The same thing they did with Zach Bond last year, and they did it with Bond a bit this year as well. I would expect that to continue. I think, and this goes back to the conversation we've had after the Michael Carter acquisition, they're just going to have a few different packages, right? Like I think my guess is how this kind of plays out over the next few weeks is that we see that they have their base defense where all three of those linebackers are on the field at times potentially. Then you're going to have your nickel, you might have a regular nickel defense that's, against like, 3 receiver sets where they're going to pass. And that might be Cooper DeJean outside a corner, Michael Carter at nickel, and we'll say that's Jahad Campbell at linebacker next to Zach Bond. But then if it's going to go against like 12 personnel and there's more of a threat of run, well, maybe now Cooper DeJean's in the slot and Keely Ringo's on the outside and Nakobe Dean is in at linebacker in place of Jahad Campbell. There's a lot of substituting that has to go into place here. And that's something that Vic Fangio has not liked to do in the past, but they have done it here in Philly. And, some of the Fangio offshoots have done it. Fangio himself has done it in the past. I don't think that's the way he wants to play. He wants to do like what he did last year, where it's like, all right, we're going to play 13 guys and that's it. I think that that's the way he ideally would like to play, but something tells me that this is the way that they're going to they're going to trend here.
Rich, did you catch that? That was just complete Jacorian Bennett erasure by Fran Duffy there. Didn't even mention him as a possibility.
I'm not going to get on for that. I might be with him on Jacorian Bennett. Yeah, I'm a little worried, though. It does sound a little 2023, what Fran just mentioned there. And that's, look, maybe I'm basing too much off of one disastrous stretch with Matt Patricia. But, hey, Matt Patricia is probably the best coordinator in college football right now. So things change, right?
And honestly, this is what they were doing when Sean Desai, who was the Fangio, the Fangio disciple there, that defense wasn't terrible when Desai was the defense coordinator. I know that
No.
he got fired, but I don't know. It was just to me that was a weird situation. I don't know that was necessarily like obviously look, a lot happened after that move, but they had some good moments. Doing those types of things from a rotation standpoint.
Probably over-indexing on it too much. Okay, that is enough on Jaelan Phillips. Fran has got Jamie and I both even more excited about the move.
It moved.
I'm excited. I'm excited to see what the edge rusher rotation looks like. We also prepared.
Howie gave him a problem though. There's just too many dogs on the defense now. There's
okay.
dogs everywhere.
There are dogs everywhere, and we're going to talk about
not Georgia Bulldogs, just dogs.
Just dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I got you.
Yeah.
I got
right.
you.
Just want to clarify.
We're going to talk about a few more dogs on the Eagles and around the league because we have prepared for you some mid-season awards where we took, Eagles MVP, Eagles Offensive Player of the Year, but we also added who we think is the leader in the clubhouse at that award around the league. And I guess before we go to break, why don't we just do the Eagles MVP first? Because I think we all had the same exact answer on that one. I checked that the Eagles MVP for this season is Jalen Hurts. And I think that's pretty self-explanatory on that. And when we look at the NFL, Jamie and I actually agreed. I don't think Drake May is going to win the award.
I don't think so either, but I wanted to give him his flowers at the midway point. Like, he's turned around the Patriots. He's on record, I believe, to smash Brady passing records. Like, kid is lighting it up in New England. So, I just kind of wanted to throw some bouquet his way.
I wanted to give him the award at midseason. I think Fran's pick of Josh Allen, I think, is likelier to win the award down the stretch. It just feels like Josh Allen has these just dynamic closing stretches where he's just running over people even in December and January up there in Buffalo. I guess one thing we would say, guys, with Jalen Hurts having the last 2 weeks that he had, it's not out of the realm that he could get into these discussions.
He's probably in the top 5? Question mark.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, what we've seen from this award in the past is that it typically goes to the quarterback of a 1 seed, right? Maybe the quarterback of a 2 seed, and so that's why I didn't go with Drake May, just because I know that this is how it sits right now. I don't know that it'll be there 2 months from now.
Sure.
But to me, I think Jalen Hurts, especially look, if the offense continues to play the way they have over the last 6-7 quarters, and he's able to be efficient and explosive, the numbers will be there to back it up.
Who did you guys consider if it wasn't Hurts? Did anybody jump out to you as a clear number 2? Because the reason I went with Hurts, not to discredit him, was I don't know who else. Zach Bond comes to mind a little bit, but there wasn't really clearly a number 2 here.
Fred Johnson.
Who? Fred Johnson? Yeah.
Fred Johnson. Yeah.
We should have just had a Fred Johnson award where just the guy who captured our hearts, especially when they go to 6 offensive linemen as well. Okay, so I guess we did that one pretty fast. I guess we can do one more before our final break. And this one was also an agreement. Now, guys, the rest of the awards, there is some disagreement on those. But the offense, as we mentioned, Zach Bond might be the pick, might be Quinyon Mitchell for MVP if it wasn't Jalen Hurts. The offense, it was a little bit of slim pickings in terms of Offensive Player of the Year. I think there was a clear answer for that one as well. And it's the guy who has stepped up over the past few weeks, and that's Devontae Smith. Look, Devontae, I think that the fact that he showed up last week, even with AJ out, it's not a matter of wanting AJ to not be a part of this, but I think it does go to show that Devontae does have more in him. And we always talk about that, but it is just quite a luxury for the Eagles to have a guy that sometimes he only gets 4 or 5 targets a game. But if you make him the unquestioned number 1 option on offense, your offense can run pretty smoothly.
He's damn good. He has the potential to be my favorite Eagles receiver of all time. He is that good. I'm so impressed with his toughness, maybe most of all, his ability to go across the middle of the field, to play through injury. The guy, I don't know what Baldy had a breakdown 2 weeks ago where he was talking about how good his blocking is. Fran, is there anything he doesn't do extremely well?
No, and that's the thing is when you look at him, and obviously, look, Rich, I loved your phrasing when you said it's slim pickings. I don't know if that was purposeful or not. But,
yes,
with the
it was not purposeful.
But when you obviously very unassuming from a physical tool standpoint, right? When you walk up on him on the hoof, but I think when you look at Devontae, he just checks so many boxes. He's got so many answers, whether you're talking about him as a route runner, his ability to get open at all three levels of the field. He's got speed to work vertical. He's good after the catch. He's tough. He's great at the catch point. You just check all the boxes with Devontae Smith.
And we were pretty unanimous on the other one, the league wide, huh? Is that the Saquon of this year?
Yeah,
Jonathan
I think
Taylor?
this one's easy. Yes, I think so. With Jonathan Taylor.
Crazy numbers. I know they struggled a little bit yesterday, but I've been so impressed really by what everybody has done.
Fran, are they the best offensive line in the league this year?
I think that just the overall health of that offense, and I think the line is playing incredibly. I don't know that I would definitely say it's been the best line, but I think that when you look at, it's a really good group. They're really well coached. Schematically, they're doing a lot of different things. They're keeping defenses on their toes, obviously yesterday aside. So, it's a really good environment for healthy offensive football.
All right, we have a few more awards to hand out. Defensive Player of the Year, Defensive Rookie of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year, Coach of the Year, and we will get to those after we hear from our last bit of friends here. And guys, if you're looking for a Jeep or Ram truck, there's only one dealership in South Jersey who has been the market leader since 1967, and that is our friends at Cherry Hill Jeep. CherryHillJeep.com. They have you covered on the best selection, but more importantly, the best prices. Right now, take advantage of 0% for 60 months on a 2025 Grand Cherokee or 0% for 72 months on a 2025 Ram 1500. Slide into 2025 Jeep Wrangler this month for $289 a month. Every Wrangler delivers strong drivetrains, innovative engineering, and quality components that underpin this icon's legendary heritage. Or you could pull away in the most luxurious and functional SUV, the 2025 Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo, also included in the True Zero offer. Stop in today and tell them that PHLY sent you and receive $1,000 off any new care and an additional $2,000 for your trade-in. I know people buy Jeeps and Ram trucks elsewhere. I just don't know why. Drive home in your new Jeep or Ram truck today. Just minutes for all bridges, or available online at 24/7 at cherryhilljeep.com.
And whether your favorite team wins or not, you can always win at the Parks Casino and the Bet Parks online casino app. You can check out brand new casino games like Huff and More Puff and Fireblaze Sky Queen, a Bet Parks exclusive. The only app I ever play to play my favorite casino games. I'm a roulette man personally. But you can play blackjack, roulette, craps, poker, baccarat, hot online slots like Caps, Eruption, 88 Fortunes, and Cleopatra, plus your favorite shows like Walking Dead, Squid Game, Breaking Bad, Peaky Blinders, all right there from the palm of your hand. New users get up to $1,000 in casino bonus back if you're down in the first 24 hours. Go to betparks.com and download the app right now and enjoy all the action and excitement from the casino at your fingertips. Must be 21 and in PA, New Jersey, Maryland, or Michigan for Bet Parks. You love to play, you play to win, you bet with Bet Parks. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
And welcome back to the PHLY Eagles show presented by Bet365 and Ashley as we continue on with our midseason awards. So let's go to Defensive Rookie of the Year next, Lindsay, if we can do that, because I actually think this one is interesting. So we all had the same answer for the Eagles Defensive Rookie of the Year. Sure. Fran, explain to me why Jahad Campbell is not the NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year at this point.
He very well could be, guys. I think that when I was looking at this one, I said this one can go any number of ways. If you watch that Sunday Night Football game, if you want to tell me that Nick Emanwari, the safety from the Seahawks, is the Defensive Rookie of the Year, you absolutely could make that argument. I think when you look at Abdul Carter, who I ended up going with, I just think that if it ended today, the name recognition, the fact that that defense has been a little bit feisty. He's been really high in pressures, but hasn't had a ton of sack production yet. I think this one will come down to who makes the most splash plays in the second half of the season. I think that it is a production-based award more often than not. I think when you're looking at that, that's one of the reasons why Quinyon didn't win it last year, one of the reasons why Jalen Carter didn't get it the year before. I think that when you look at what Jahad Campbell needs to do, a couple more sacks, another pick or two. Like you need those splash plays, I think. But again, like it's not like Abdul Carter has the splash plays either. I think it's more like a name recognition thing at this point in the calendar.
Mine was a coin flip decision, and I had to go with the LaSalle College high school kid. I mean, I'll throw my personal bias out there.
Even if he doesn't have a sack yet on the season.
He's got a lot of pressures. A lot of pressures.
He does
Love
have
the
some,
Giants. We know this.
Yeah.
He does have some juice for sure.
Yeah, no, he's a good player, but I did pick him because he's a LaSalle kid.
Fair enough. Okay. Offensive Rookie of the Year is next for the Eagles. I mean, Bo Wolf, tune in right now.
Oh, boy. By default,
That's how we all drew it up.
How about that? How about those snaps he had last week against the Giants? Been hurt. It has an IR stint for the middle of it. Hey, look, the Eagles offense, we know they have a lot of veteran talent, a lot of high priced veteran talent on this group. Not as much going on there. I guess did you guys both go with
I went with
Egbuka? What, Fran, why him over Tyler Warren, who I don't understand why he wasn't the first tight end off the board. I would watch Penn State last year and was like, beast. This guy's amazing. Now, in fairness, Colston Loveland, nice catch at the end of the game yesterday. That was, by the way, the Bengals defense. I've never seen anything like that in my life. They're so bad. It's unbelievable how much fun their games are. Okay, I'm getting off topic. Fran, why Egbuka over Tyler Warren?
I just think that the position that he plays, the fact that he has made some just ridiculous highlight grabs. I mean, Warren has had a great start to the year, but I think when you look at like the attention grabbing plays, Egbuka is going to have him beat out there. I think he's going to have great opportunity here down the stretch as well. When you look at Mike Evans being out of the lineup for Tampa Bay, he's going to be the go-to guy. I know Baker Mayfield's on a little bit of a downslide, in turn over the last couple of weeks. They've got the bye week, so he's been a little bit out of sight, out of mind. But I think once you get into the second half of the season, I think Egbuka is a guy that is going to probably steal that award.
Yeah, he's just a beast. Just take an Ohio State wide receiver and you're fine.
He's sick. Yeah, I mean he's awesome. Feels like he's open downfield like 3 times a game too. And Baker is getting the football.
Him and Jackson Smith and Jigba like just lighting the league up.
Crazy. Okay, so I think we can refer to Darius Cooper from now on as the offensive rookie of the year for the Eagles. So yeah. I think Bo can take that with pride. Okay, so I guess what we have next is most improved player for the Eagles and around the league. I went with kind of a goofy answer because I enjoyed the last few weeks of Brett Toth at center. I understand that this is probably an overall season, but Brett Toth, seeing how excited everybody was, and Brett Toth sort of holding court in the back of the Eagles locker room, and Jordan Mailata and Lane Johnson and all these guys saying, man, we knew what we had in this guy. He's a pretty good player. That was a sentimental award. I will let you two talk about the 2 defensive tackles who are the right answers, I would say, for this award.
Yeah, I'll kick it off. I think Morrow has, stepped up. I don't think it was a rocket to the moon type of like ascension, but I think he's gotten better every single week. Whereas Jordan Davis kind of came out and stole it early. So I think that's a very good vote as well from Fran. But I think Ojimo he impacts plays in a lot of different ways, whether it be the run, he's getting quarterback pressures. I think he's just, what is he, 23? I think he's a guy that you see the building blocks getting better each week. So I'm just really excited for his future. And I think he's improved a lot.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. I think I went back and forth between Ojomo and with Jordan Davis. I ended up going with Davis just because of, honestly, my own expectations coming in. I think that he has surpassed those. Look, it was a little bit more eye-catching early on, like you mentioned, Jamie. Like the first 2-3 weeks, it was like, oh, look at what he's doing here. He's not tearing it up as a pass rusher right now. I will say that I think that he is doing some of the dirty work as a pass rusher in terms of setting picks on stunts and some of that stuff to free up players like Ojimo looping inside. But I do think when you look at Jordan Davis, he is more than checking the box as a run defender. He has been more consistent in my mind, in terms of what he's been doing at the point of attack, playing at a high level, what you expected of him when you drafted him 14th overall. So I think for me, it was Jordan Davis, but by the slimmest of margins.
And Fran, he deserves a lot of credit for the amount of total snaps he's playing this year. He has taken on a ton of snaps for a line that is just depleted, and that's equally as impressive.
It's that Peloton, man.
It is. It's Allie Love, man. She kicks your ass.
She gets
and I think that absolutely should be taken into account when you're talking about Jordan Davis.
Definitely.
Okay, we will hear our picks for Coach of the Year, both around the league and with the Eagles in overtime. All right. So coach of the year with the Eagles, we said, okay, you could pick anybody on the staff. It can be a position coach. It can
Michael Clay didn't get any votes.
It can be a coordinator. Hey, he's had some good years. I don't think he is the winner this year. I think Jeff Stoutland could probably just win this every single year, although they've been a little more up and down so far this year. He's got his work cut out in the second half of the year. And so this one was also a clean sweep.
I did consider Christian Parker, though.
Yeah, I mean, I think he has a very important job, especially over the second half of the year, because he didn't get the type of reinforcement that Howie gave the edge rush group. I think Christian Parker is very good, but all of us went with Vic Fangio and then our old guy Shane Steichen for the NFL Coach of the Year. Fran, I guess the thing that has impressed me the most about Vic so far this year, because last year it just felt like everything fell into place, right? When they got Cooper DeJean, they were able to play, as you said, 13 guys for most of the year. Doesn't have to blitz in the Super Bowl just because he doesn't have to, because they're just playing awesome on all fronts. He has had some legitimate weaknesses to work around so far this year. And the fact that he is trying different things, like I think of Jalen Hunt's pick 6 against Minnesota a few weeks ago. He's been dialing up enough creative pressures to keep these guys afloat. I know this defense on a down-to-down basis has not been quite as impressive, but in the red zone, they have been good. They have been stout. And I feel like he's gotten the most out of these guys. But I just like the fact that he's willing to try stuff. And it seems like he's done that so far this year.
I do like the fact that Jimmy Garoppolo is in the chat pining for Kyle Shanahan to get our Coach of the Year votes in the NFL. No, I think that to me with Vic, Rich, to your point, like last year was a perfect storm. When you look at like the talent acquisition in the offseason, the way that group bounced back, you had like just the right mix of youthful exuberance and like the toughness and the competitiveness, but then also you had like some of those vet mentors, and you had that perfect blend, and it turned into one of the best defenses in football. And this year, because you had that group last year and you felt so good about it, you were playing the same guys week after week, and you didn't have to change up too much. You had your identity, and that was that. And so coming into this year, you had the turnover up front. You had 2 new starters on the back end. You had a new linebacker because of Nakobe's injury. What was it going to look like? And they've had to change their ways. They've had to play more man coverage. They've had to blitz more. They've had to change some of their coverage calls, within their zone coverage concepts over the course of this season. And they've adapted week to week. Some weeks they're extremely blitz heavy, and some weeks they completely call everybody back. And so to me, this one was an easy one for me, just because of when you look at the multiplicity of this defense, they do what you need to do to win every single week. And it hasn't all looked pretty, but I wasn't expecting it to look pretty because of that turnover and because you're playing a couple rookies in some key spots and some inexperienced players and others. So to me, Vic Fangio definitely deserves this one.
And Shane Steichen, I mean, I thought he was going to get fired.
Unreal.
Before the season. And I cannot believe, like, I know they struggled yesterday against Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh, sometimes they just have some weird games where
Pittsburgh is one of the weirdest teams.
Well, they just get all these turnovers, and Boswell is making like 60-yard field goals. It's not sustainable for that reason, but they do have those games throughout the year. But I feel like Indy, especially with Steichen, I think they've been the most consistent team, at least through the first half of the season, just week to week. You know what you're getting. The resurrection of Daniel Jones and his career. I have been really impressed by what Steichen has done. And that makes sense because I was really impressed by what he did with the Eagles. Good to see that he got back on track before he got fired.
Yeah, I mean, Daniel Jones is maybe the top storyline in the NFL this year. It's incredible.
Fran, what's the most impressive thing about what Steichen has done so far this year to you?
To me, it's been eliminating the negative plays from Daniel Jones, because we've seen those kind of, and again, like yesterday was one thing. I think everybody's been waiting for yesterday to happen. I do think that we've got enough of a sample size at this point here in 2025 to make me think that, this is sustainable. My guess is that Daniel Jones is going to get a bag this offseason. Like he's going to be a franchise quarterback, whether it's for Indy or if it's for somebody else. And my guess is it's going to be for the Colts. I think when you look at what they've done and created that environment and say, hey, we're going to major in the run game and then play action, and you need to make X amount of throws a game where everything's on the line. But other than that, we're going to keep things well defined. I think that's a winning formula for them. They've beaten some good teams this year. I'm excited to see what they can do moving forward.
Yeah, it feels pretty sustainable to me. Maybe they won't be the number 1 seed in the AFC, but
Right.
I don't think they're going to be limping into the playoffs or anything like that. They've put a lot of good stuff on tape so far this year. So I think those were pretty easy choices.
What kind of guaranteed money do you think we're talking here with Daniel Jones, Fran? Like, has he shown enough to make the Colts give a 5-year deal with 140 plus?
Oh, more than that.
Like guaranteed. Like,
I don't know about like the guarantees, but I could tell you like from like an APY standpoint, like I'm looking at
it's like 50 mil.
Jared Goff and Brock Purdy, Tua, those guys all got 53. Trevor Lawrence got 55. That's what Jordan Love got 55. He's going to be north of 50. He's going to be like in that 52, 53, $54 million range. That would be my guess for Daniel Jones by the time, unless things get, just completely go in the tank. Now that's kind of what happened with Sam Darnold in Minnesota last year. And so then it's, what did Sam Darnold get on the open market this year? Sam Darnold from the Seahawks. Let me just pull up that number really quick. He ended up getting 33 and a half. So
good deal.
To me, like if things go south for the Colts, I still think that's probably the floor of what you're looking at.
Wow.
Which, by the way, like Myles Garrett got 40, right? Like, so it's not
that's
like
crazy.
Oh man, like it's not like there's a huge chasm between what a mid starter would get versus some of the best players in the league that are non-quarterbacks. So to me, like, I think it's going to be on the 50 range, and I think that's more just projecting forward what I expect here from the Colts moving into the second half.
How damning is this on the Giants coaching staff?
Oh, it's not a good look. Yeah, it's definitely not a good look.
How do you keep Daboll?
Yeah, I mean that's
it's $1 million question. I know, but
it's not a good look for anybody. It's not a good look for anybody, especially you let Saquon go last year and then Saquon goes off, and then you let Jones go this year and then Jones goes off. It's not a good look.
Wow. My Giants thought, by the way, is that I like watching Jackson Dart more than I thought, but the fact that he takes those hits every week is crazy. He's not going to be walking in a few weeks.
Rich, we talked about Jaden Daniels taking those hits like one of the first 2 weeks of the season. And I mean, yeah, like these guys have to learn. Like, you can say what you want about Jalen, but the Jalens and Russell Wilsons of the world, they knew early, like, to preserve myself in the style of play I want to do, I can't be taking these hits. I got to get out of bounds. I got to slide. Like, these guys, like, you got to learn from these guys.
Yeah. No, and it would be funny if Daniel Jones, right? Like, as Fran said, all those guys who made 50 million, the way it usually works is if you're in the club of the top tier quarterbacks, you usually just get more than the next guy, even if you are a few notches down from him. Has he gotten that high? I don't know, but that's probably going to be a really interesting question for the offseason. Okay. We have one more that I forgot that I skipped over, and we had some disagreement on this one as well. And that is defensive player of the year. And thank you to Jamie for bringing up Myles Garrett, who was my pick for actual defensive player of the year. And you know why I picked him? Because he had 5 sacks a couple weeks ago. That's why I picked him.
Pretty good
for defensive player of the year. But I think the Eagles side is much more interesting because we picked 3 different people, and those are 3 of what we would consider before the year the Eagles' 4 elite players on defense. The fact that Jalen Carter is not involved with that, I don't think that's a mistake that he didn't get mentioned, because he has had a little bit of a down year so far. I guess I'll start with you, James. Why Coop?
I just think he's been maybe the most consistent player up there with Zach Bond week to week. I think he's the surest tackler on the team.
His tackling is unbelievable.
He's such a good football player, and you ask him to kind of play everywhere and anywhere. The play against Justin Jefferson was probably on the forefront of my mind when I cast this vote. Like that basically won them a game. I just think he's so consistent, so good, never messes up, that he was my pick.
Fran, you went with Q. You didn't go with Q.
I know, that's my boy, Fran.
Listen,
wax poetically here, please.
No, and look, Q may forgive, but he never forgets, Jamie. So I don't know how you're going to come back from this. No, I just think that you could have told me that I was very close to doing Bond. I thought about Cooper. To me, all 3 of these guys, I think, are definitely deserve to be in this discussion. I think when you look at Quignon,
all from the same offseason too, Fran. That's wild.
I know, crazy. It's crazy. But to me, like when you look at Quignon with what he's asked to do in terms of shadowing the opposing number 1 receiver as often as he does, there was a piece that NFL.com put out last week, I believe, where they just kind of looked at some next gen stats metrics and kind of tried to project that in terms of qualitatively, like ranking corners who are the top matchup corners in football. And Quinyon Mitchell got number 3, I believe, on that list, just looking at how often he matches up with the opposing number 1 target and what he has done in those matchups. I mean, it's outstanding. And so when you have a player that you can say, hey, go erase this guy from the game, that's an invaluable resource in today's NFL.
Man, I need a cigarette.
I would argue, Q, best individual game I've seen this year from a defensive player, really maybe any Eagles player, maybe outside of Jaelan against the Vikings, was Quinyon against Tampa. That was unbelievable.
Yeah, Mike Evans knows who he is now.
Yes, he was so damn good.
The year prior, he was like, "Who are you?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm Quinyon."
I just went with Bond. I just think on a down-to-down basis, the fact that in 1 year he has ascended to that elite tier of linebackers now that Fred Warner is out for the season too. Like, you could tell me he's the best linebacker.
Not taking a step off of what he did last year might be the most impressive thing he's done
in football. But I think all of those guys are good picks. So I think that about wraps it up for today's show. It was good talking about Jaelan Phillips. I feel very excited about that. I'm certainly excited working into next week. Another Monday Night Football, 2 weeks in a row where we have Sunday off.
Yeah.
Because the Eagles are playing on Monday night.
Fran, I know you don't know, but are you expecting Nolan Smith to suit up Monday?
I don't know if he's going to suit up. We'll figure. But my understanding is he'll be back at practice this week, and so I guess we'll see how his body responds and all that. We know that he's going to be gearing up to go. So I would definitely not rule it out. I don't know. Once EJ's back stateside and is back in the building, we'll get a feel.
Yes, and we will hear that. I mean, again, Packers tough matchup. You guys both had, I believe, Micah Parsons as
I had Myles Garrett.
You had Myles Garrett, yeah. Fran and Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons, the stuff he was doing a couple weeks ago against Pittsburgh, I was blown away.
He's a freak.
The stuff that he does on stuff, like they have like 3 guys blocking him sometimes. It doesn't really matter. So he is obviously very good. So big week coming up for Jordan Mailata.
Tough times for Dallas right now. Losing Micah, the Eagles go get one of the top edge rushers. They're down bad.
Yeah, their defense. They should play Cincinnati. The score would be 50-50 at some point in that game. So we will have a bunch more. We'll hear more about, is Nolan Smith back at practice? EJ will be back to give his Rick Steves travel guide. What happened in France as well. Fran, are you on? What days are you on this week?
I'll be back on Thursday with those guys. We'll preview the game, swooper, the whole deal.
And I believe we will have Bo and EJ back for the next few days as well. Bye week's over, everybody. We're back on schedule, and make sure to check out what else we have at PHLY today. I believe we have a Sixers pod going on.
They are live now. Yeah, you can hop right over and get your Sixers fix.
You can head on there. And Fran, we'll say goodbye to you. Thank you for your help.
Thank you, Fran.
Everything. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it, guys. See you, sickos.
Yeah, go hang out with the Sixers guys. Of course, we got a BG show this week coming up.
Do we have an exciting mics this week as well?
We do. I believe they're recording today because of the clunky week, but the Sixers are going on now. And then, of course, tomorrow morning you got Anthony in Philadelphia, which we love. Philadelphia, if you haven't been checking it out, make sure you do 1:30 every day. Bill's the best. We got a lot of great stuff cooking here at PHLY.
You know what? You know who does not have great stuff, Jamie? YouTube TV, because I can't watch.
Real quick, this is such a joke by ESPN to beg their consumers to do their bidding for them. Like, oh, go call your representatives and call YouTube TV. No, you're the one naming your price. You want people to go to the ESPN app. I hate that like Scott Van Pelt and these people I love on ESPN are asking the consumers to go do their groveling for them. No, don't.
Completely agree with you.
But you're getting the shaft in the end,
I'm not picking sides, but I will. I don't get anything on ABC. They better have this fixed before Monday Night Football next week.
Or you'll be hanging out here with us. Oh no. Well, I can log into it via
we can find other ways to watch it. But yeah.
But that's bad. Yeah, that's real. It's such a bad look for everyone.
Also, like, I want my Action News fix. Like, come on.
Oh yeah.
I want Rick Williams at 11 o'clock.
Rick Williams is a beast.
It's a legend, right?
Yeah.
Taking over for the legend as well.
So funny how 6 ABC like newscasters just become like legends in this town.
Oh, interesting. So we have
A super chat.
By the way, I agree that they've become.
I saw Rick Williams once at the gym and I was like, oh my God, it's Rick Williams.
You know what? I've seen Rick Williams at my gym as well. Was it Aquatic and Fitness Center? Over
In Bala?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I wonder if he still goes there. It was like 15 years ago. Yeah, no, they're celebrities. The other 6 ABC celebrity story that always cracked me up, Vernon Odom rang the bell at the Sixers game. Place went wild. One of the biggest pops.
Vern.
Bigger pop than like some like huge celebrities, you know, rappers, actors, and anybody. No, Vernon Odom.
That's
you
so
know what?
funny.
I was one of them as well. I gave him a nice clap.
I love
there.
Vern.
We also have one super chat before we get out of here from
Ryan Madden.
The best coordinator in college football is Indiana defensive coordinator Bryant Haynes, in his opinion. You know, I got to say, I haven't followed the Indiana football program closely. I know Signetti is the head coach. I think whatever they're cooking there, it's one of the best coaching jobs.
It's the transfer portal.
Very impressive. So the idea that, as Ryan pointed out, that their defensive coordinator can help them go win at Autzen Stadium in Oregon, I believe it. I believe it. The coaching job that is being done there is pretty great. Okay, so thank you to all the sickos for hanging out with us today.
Thank you to Lindsay.
Thank you to Lindsay for handling the graphics, bringing in Fran, and dealing with all the chaos that comes on a Monday show. Jamie and I will probably talk to you next week, midweek next week, or we'll probably be back on Wednesday. I don't know. We'll figure it out. That's a long time.
Good question with the Monday Night Football. I don't know how that's going to shake out, but we'll be here.
Don't worry about it. We'll be back at some point, but it will be Bo, EJ, Fran, and the professor taking you home for the rest of the week. And as always, we love you.
Go Birds.